Good evening. I'm Adrian Sala, and you're listening to WikiSleep YouTube. If you're enjoying our channel, but hate the ads, all of our episodes are available ad-free through our WikiSleep app, which you can find easily by clicking the links below or visiting wikisleep.com. The app has more unique sleep support, including meditations, breath work, ambient sounds, white noise, exclusive episodes, and so much more. It's available entirely ad-free, and you can download it for free by visiting wikisleep.com. There's a free trial to give it a test drive to see if it's the right fit for you, and then it's only an investment of $1.50 a week for better sleep. It's a quick, simple, and inexpensive way to invest in your sleep hygiene and sleep health. As we begin, I recommend taking a moment to get comfortable. Then take a few long, deep breaths and settle in for this calm, interesting, but quiet story. And one last note, no need to smash that like button. You can simply, gently, sleepily click it and subscribe. And don't forget while you're doing that to add notifications as well so you never miss an episode. Thank you, and I wish you a happy, restful sleep in whatever way works best for you.
Good evening. I'm Frankie Watson, and tonight I'm going to read to you about Tupac Shakur, an American rapper, songwriter, and actor who is considered by many to be one of the most influential rappers of all time. Much of Shakur's work addressed the social issues that plagued inner cities, and he is often viewed as a symbol of resistance and activism against inequality. As we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Then take a few slow, deep breaths. Settle in and relax. If you feel yourself starting to fall asleep, embrace it. Simply breathe it in and let yourself drift off. Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on June 16, 1971, in the East Harlem section of Manhattan. His birth name was Lassane Parrish Crooks, but his parents renamed him at the age of 1 in tribute to Tupac Amaru II, a descendant of the last Incan ruler who was executed in Peru in 1781 after his failed revolt against Spanish rule. Shakur's mother explained her reasons for renaming him, saying, "I wanted him to have the name of revolutionary indigenous people in the world." Shakur had an older stepbrother, Komani Shakur, and a half-sister, Shakiwa, who was 2 years his junior. His parents, Afani Shakur and Billy Garland had been active Black Panther Party members in New York in the late 1960s and early 1970s. A month before Shakur's birth, his mother was tried in New York City as part of the Panther 21 criminal trial. She was acquitted of over 150 charges, but other family members involved in the Black Panther's Black Liberation Army were convicted of serious crimes and imprisoned. In 1982, for aiding the 1979 New Jersey prison escape of Shakur's step-aunt and godmother, Assata Shakur, his stepfather Mutulu spent 4 years among the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. Captured in 1986, Mutulu was convicted and imprisoned for the 1981 robbery of a Brinks armored truck, during which police officers and a guard were killed. In 1984, Shakur's family moved from New York City to Baltimore. There, he attended 8th grade at Roland Park Middle School, then spent 2 years at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School before transferring to the Baltimore School for the Arts, where he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and ballet. He performed in Shakespeare plays and as the Mouse King in the Nutcracker Ballet. He also won competitions as the school's best rapper with his friend Dana Mouse Smith as beatbox. Known for his humor, those who knew him said that he had the ability to mix with all crowds. As a teen, he had eclectic music taste, listening to musicians including Kate Bush, Culture Club, Sinead O'Connor, and U2. At Baltimore's Arts High School, Shakur became friends with Jada Pinkett, who would become a subject of some of his poems. After his death, Pinkett would call him one of her best friends, saying, "He was like a brother. It was beyond friendship for us. The type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime." In his adulthood, he continued to make friends with a diverse group of people. His friends would range from Mike Tyson and Chuck D to Jim Carrey and Alanis Morissette, who in April 1996 said that she and Shakur were planning to open a restaurant together. He also briefly dated Madonna in 1994. During his teenage years, Shakur got involved with the Baltimore Young Communist League and dated the daughter of the director of the local chapter of the Communist Party USA. In 1988, Shakur moved to Marin City, California, a small, impoverished community about 5 miles north of San Francisco. In nearby Mill Valley, he attended Tamalpais High School, where he performed in several theater productions. Using the stage name MC New York, he began recording in 1989. That same year, he also started attending the poetry classes of Layla Steinberg. Soon, she became the young artist's manager. She managed to get him signed by Atron Gregory, manager of the rap group Digital Underground. In 1990, Gregory placed Shakur with the Underground as a roadie and backup dancer. Under the stage name Tupac, he debuted on the group's 1991 single, Same Song. The song went on the soundtrack of the 1991 movie Nothing But Trouble, starring Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Chevy Chase, and Demi Moore. Now performing as Tupac, Shakur released his first solo album that same year. Titled Tupacalypse Now, it has been cited by many prominent rappers such as Nas, Eminem, Game, and Talib Kweli as an inspiration. Aside from If My Homie Calls, the singles Trapped and Brenda's Got a Baby poetically depict individual struggles under socioeconomic disadvantage. The album pushed boundaries, and it was considered somewhat controversial at the time. Adding to the controversy, a Texas defense attorney with a young client who had shot a state trooper rationalized his defendant had been listening to Shakur's album, which touches upon police brutality, and he used that fact as a defense. U.S. Vice President Dan Quayle got into the debate as well, saying, "There's no reason for a record like this to be released. It has no place in our society." Tupac, finding himself misunderstood, explained himself, saying in part, "I just wanted to rap about the things that affected young black males. When I said that, I didn't know that I was going to tie myself down to just take all the blunts and hits for all the young black males, to be the media's kicking post for young black males." Despite the controversy, Tupacalypse Now was certified gold, with 500,000 copies sold, and still remains relevant today. Tupac's second album was released in February 1993. A critical and commercial success, it debuted at number 24 on the pop album chart, the Billboard 200. More hardcore overall, album number 2 emphasized Tupac's socio-political views and had a more metallic production quality. It also features Ice Cube, one of the founders and creators of NWA's Fuck the Police, who had also gone political, along with the LA's Ice-T, who in June 1992 had sparked controversy with Body Count's track, Cop Killer. Tupac's second album was his popular breakthrough, reaching number 11 on the pop singles chart and being certified platinum at 1 million copies sold. In late 1993, Shakur formed the group Thug Life with Tyrus Big Sky Himes, Dyron Macadocious Rivers, his stepbrother Mopreme Shakur, and Walter Rated R Burns. Thug Life published its only album, Thug Life Volume 1, on October 11, 1994. It went gold. Tupac's third album, Me Against the World, was released in March 1995 and is now hailed as his magnum opus. It commonly ranks among the greatest, most influential rap albums of all time. The album sold 240,000 copies in its first week, setting a record for highest first-week sales for a solo male rapper at the time. The album's most successful single, Dear Mama, topped the Hot Rap Singles chart and peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. By July, it was certified platinum. Tupac Shakur also starred in several films during his short life. In 1992, he performed in Juice, where he played the fictional Roland Bishop, a violent gang member. Rolling Stone called him the film's most magnetic figure. Then, in 1993, he starred alongside Janet Jackson in John Singleton's romance film, Poetic Justice. He then played another gang member in Above the Rim. Following his death, 3 more films were released in which he starred. Bullet in 1996, and Gridlocked and Gang Related in 1997. Director Alan Hughes had cast Shakur as Sharif in the 1993 film Menace to Society, but replaced him after he had assaulted him on set. Nonetheless, in 2013, Hughes said that Tupac would have outshone the other actors because he was bigger than the movie. Tupac Shakur's relationship with police enforcement and crime was tumultuous. In October 1991, he filed a $10 million lawsuit against the Oakland Police Department for allegedly brutalizing him over jaywalking. The case was settled for about $43,000. Thereafter, he would be involved in a series of cases where he was accused of inflicting harm. On August 22, 1992, in Marin City, Shakur performed at an outdoor festival, and then for about an hour after the performance, he signed autographs and posed for photos. At some point, a conflict broke out, and Shakur allegedly drew a legally carried Colt Mustang handgun, but dropped it on the ground. He claimed that someone with him then picked it up when it accidentally discharged. About 100 yards away in a schoolyard, Kaid Walker Teal, a 6-year-old boy on his bicycle, was fatally shot in the forehead. His stepbrother Maurice Harding was arrested, but no charges were filed. And lack of witnesses stymied prosecution. In 1995, Kaid's mother filed a wrongful death suit against Shakur, which was settled for somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. In October 1993 in Atlanta, Mark Whitwell and Scott Whitwell, two brothers who were both off-duty police officers, were out celebrating with their wives after one of them had passed the state's bar examination. The officers were crossing the street when a passing car carrying Shakur allegedly almost struck them. The Whitwells, later found to have stolen guns, argued with the car's occupants and were soon joined by a second car. Ultimately, Shakur was charged with shooting one of the Whitwells in the buttocks and the other in the leg, back, or abdomen. Mark Whitwell, the off-duty police officer, was charged with firing at Shakur's car and later lying to the investigation. Prosecutors eventually dropped all charges against both parties. On April 5, 1993, Shakur allegedly threw a microphone and swung a baseball bat at rapper Chauncey Wynn of the group MAD at a concert at Michigan State University. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor and was sentenced to 30 days in jail, 20 of them suspended, and ordered to do 35 hours of community service. In November 1993, he and 3 other men were charged in New York with sexually assaulting a woman in his hotel room. The woman, Ayanna Jackson, alleged that after consensual sex in his hotel room, she returned on a different day, but was assaulted by him and other men there. On December 1st, 1994, still denying that he had assaulted her, Shakur was convicted of first-degree sexual abuse. He was sentenced to between 18 months and 4.5 years in prison by a judge who decried the crime as an act of brutal violence against a helpless woman. On October 12th of that year, pending judicial appeal, Shakur was released from Clinton Correctional Facility after Suge Knight, CEO of Death Row Records, arranged for his $1.4 million bond. During this time, his wife, Keisha Morris, told Suge Knight that Shakur was in dire straits financially and that he needed help, with his mother about to lose her house. In August, after sending $15,000 to his mother, Knight began visiting Shakur in prison. While imprisoned, Shakur wrote very little. Rather, he took to reading political theorist Machiavelli's The Prince, as well as Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Music journalist Kevin Powell wrote that once released, Shakur became more aggressive and that he seemed like a completely transformed person. Tupac's fourth album, All Eyes on Me, was released in 1996. Put out on 2 discs, it was one of rap's first double albums, meeting 2 of the 3 albums due in Tupac's contract with Death Row. It had 5 singles, marking the peak of 1990s rap. With standout production, the album has more party tracks and often a triumphant tone. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first week and was certified 5-time multi-platinum in April of that year. How Do You Want It, as well as California Love, reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. At the 1997 Soul Train Awards, it won in R&B and Soul, or Rap Album of the Year. Tupac's 5th and final studio album, The Dawn Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, was released under a new stage name, Machiavelli. Alongside Tupac's rise to stardom, another rapper by the name of the Notorious B.I.G. was blowing up on the East Coast. In 1993, visiting Los Angeles, Biggie asked for an introduction to Tupac, who welcomed him and his friends to his house, where he treated them to food, weed, and entertainment. On later visits to Los Angeles, Biggie would stay at Shakur's house, and when in New York, Shakur would go to Brooklyn and hang out with Biggie in his circle. During this period, at his own live shows, Tupac would call Biggie onto stage to rap with him. Together, they recorded the songs Runnin' from the Police and House of Pain. At the time, Shakur's lifestyle was comparatively lavish, whereas Biggie's appeared to be less so. Tupac invited Biggie to join his side group, Thug Life, but he chose to form his own side group called the Junior Mafia instead. On November 29, 1994, while in New York, Tupac was recording verses for a mixtape of Ron G when he was repeatedly distracted by his beeper. It was music manager Jimmy Henchman Rosemont reportedly offering $7,000 for Tupac to stop by Quad Studios in Times Square that night to record a verse for his client, Little Sean. Tupac was leery but in need of cash, so he took the gig. When he arrived, 3 men attempted to rob him at gunpoint in the lobby. He resisted and was shot. Later, Shakur speculated that the shooting was the main motive of the attack and that he had been set up. "3 hours after surgery, against doctors' advice, he checked out of Bellevue Hospital Center. In a 1995 interview with Vibe magazine, Shakur accused Sean Combs, Jimmy Henchman, and Biggie Smalls, among others, of setting him up or being privy to the robbery and shooting. After his visit to Clinton Correctional Facility to see Shakur, Suge Knight traveled to New York City to join Death Row's entourage at the 2nd annual Source Awards ceremony. Already reputed for strong-arm tactics on the Los Angeles rap scene, Knight used his brief stage time mainly to belittle Sean Puff Daddy Combs, boss of Bad Boy Entertainment. Just before closing with a brief comment of support for Tupac, Suge invited artists seeking the spotlight for themselves to join Death Row. Combs recalled that to preempt severe retaliation from his bad boy crew, he confronted Knight, who was sensible enough to de-escalate the conflict. Still, among the fans, the rivalry between America's only 2 mainstream rap scenes had flared already. On September 24, 1995, at a party for Dupree in Atlanta at the Platinum House nightclub, one of the Bad Boy Circle entered a heated dispute with Knight and his friend Big Jake, a Bloods gang member and Death Row bodyguard. According to eyewitnesses, Combs had also argued with Suge inside the club. Several minutes later, outside the club, Puff's childhood friend and own bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones, is said to have aimed a gun at Big Jake, who was fatally shot while entering Knight's car. The attorneys of Combs and his bodyguard both denied any involvement, adding that Puff had not even been with his bodyguard that night. Over 20 years later, the case remains officially unresolved. Yet, immediately and persistently, Knight blamed Combs, cementing the animosity between the 2 bosses, whose record labels dominated the rap genre's 2 mainstream centers. On the night of September 7, 1996, Shakur was in Las Vegas to celebrate his business partner Tracy Daniel Robinson's birthday. They attended the Bruce Seldon versus Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Afterward, in the lobby, one of their crew spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, an alleged Southside Compton Crip, who was accused of having recently tried to snatch a neck chain with a Death Row Records medallion. The hotel's surveillance footage shows the ensuing assault on Anderson. Meanwhile, Shakur stopped by his hotel room and then headed with Knight to his Death Row nightclub, Club 662, in a black BMW sedan as part of a larger convoy. At about 11 p.m. on Las Vegas Boulevard, bicycle-mounted police stopped the car for its loud music and lack of license plates. The plates were found in the trunk, and the car was released without a ticket. At about 11:15 p.m., while stopped at a stoplight, a white, four-door, late-model Cadillac sedan pulled up to the passenger side of Shakur's vehicle, and an occupant rapidly fired into the car. Shakur was struck 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, with one bullet entering his right lung. Shrapnel hit Knight's head, but he was not severely injured. Shakur, badly wounded, was taken to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, where he was heavily sedated, put on life support, and later put into an induced coma. In the intensive care unit on the afternoon of September 13, 1996, Tupac Shakur died from internal bleeding. The official causes of death are respiratory failure and cardiopulmonary arrest associated with multiple gunshot wounds. Six months after the murder of Tupac Shakur, rapper Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G., was also shot and killed. There remains widespread speculation that the two murders were connected, yet neither has been solved. Tupac Shakur was just 25 years old when he died.